Welcome to our deep dive into the life of Barbara Hale, the talented actress best known for her portrayal of Della Street on the classic TV series Perry Mason. Beyond her iconic role in the courtroom drama, Barbara Hale's story reveals a fascinating journey, one that began with aspirations in art rather than acting and continued through unexpected turns in Hollywood. Join us as we explore the little-known facts about her early life, transition to film, and eventual rise to fame, shedding light on the enduring legacy of this remarkable star. Barbara Hale embarked on her journey in Hollywood during the year 1942. Interestingly, her initial aspirations did not lean toward acting. Instead, she harbored dreams of pursuing a career in the realm of art. Hailing from DeKalb, Illinois, Barbara was born on April 18, 1922, into a family of Scotch-Irish heritage. Her parents, Luther, Ezra Hale, and Wilma Colvin, were nurturing souls, with her father working as a landscape gardener. Shortly after Barbara's birth, the family relocated to Rockford, bringing along her elder sister Juanita, born in 1913. It's essential to understand that the early 1920s and 1930s were formative decades in the American cultural landscape. DeKalb and Rockford, situated in the state of Illinois, provided quieter, more close-knit communities compared to the bustling metropolis of Chicago. Barbara Hale's father, working as a landscape gardener, likely found steady employment beautifying both private estates and public grounds. This was a period when outdoor spaces and municipal parks were increasingly valued for community recreation. Though the Great Depression, 1929 to 1939, would have affected virtually everyone during Barbara's childhood, the fact that her father maintained a specialized line of work may have offered some stability. From a familial standpoint, Barbara's Scotch-Irish heritage likely influenced her upbringing. Cultural roots of storytelling, music, and community gatherings might have enriched her early life and planted the seeds for a creative future. While her mother, Luther Ezrael, is less documented in public sources, the mention of both parents as nurturing souls underlines the supportive household environment Barbara grew up in. This nurturing atmosphere gave Barbara a strong foundation to explore her talents and interests, which, at the time, were far removed from the Hollywood spotlight. By 1913, her elder sister Juanita had already been born, which meant Barbara had an older sibling to look up to. Some sources have alluded to the idea that Juanita, being 9 years older, might have been like a second maternal figure, or at least someone who could guide Barbara in her early artistic or academic endeavors. This background is especially meaningful when considering Barbara's initial dream to pursue art, an aspiration that sometimes requires considerable encouragement at a young age. It is also worth noting that the Midwest in general had its own burgeoning cultural scene. Many small-town theaters, local art shows, and school plays would have been instrumental in providing an early creative spark. Barbara's eventual step toward ballet, tap dancing, and painting may have found initial impetus in regional cultural events. With each passing year in Rockford, Barbara seemed to realize that her creativity was not just a pastime, but a passion worth developing. Raised in the serenity of a provincial haven, Barbara's artistic inclinations flourished. At the tender age of 12, she commenced her endeavors in ballet and tap dancing, while also making her presence felt in local theater productions. Even during her school days, Barbara's inherent talent and passion for painting began to surface. Hence, after completing high school in Rockford, she decided to pursue her artistic aspirations at the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts. Life in the bustling city of Chicago proved more arduous than Barbara had envisioned. The competition within the esteemed walls of the Academy of Fine Arts was fierce, leaving her in awe of the immense talent surrounding her. While initially aiming to contribute to the advertising industry, she soon realized the challenges inherent in such a demanding field. Consequently, Barbara shifted her focus toward modeling. She collected her first experiences posing for a comic strip named Rambling Bill. By a stroke of fate, Barbara's path crossed with Al Seaman, the esteemed head of the Chicago Model Bureau. Enthralled by Barbara's potential, he wasted no time in sharing her photographs with Radio Keith Orpheum Studios. Soon enough, an audition was arranged, and Barbara found herself signing a stock contract, setting the stage for her journey to California. To delve more deeply into these early steps, one must appreciate the context of the modeling industry in the late 1930s and early 1940s. Photographic and fashion modeling was often a gateway into show business for many young women. Advertisers and modeling agencies in big cities like Chicago were always on the lookout for fresh faces, especially those who could convey the wholesome, all-American look that appealed to mainstream audiences of the era. Barbara, with her Midwestern background and classic features, would have been a natural fit for print ads and illustrations. Posing for a comic strip such as Rambling Bill suggests that Barbara was comfortable not only with traditional fashion poses, but also with more creative or narrative-driven modeling assignments. Illustrators, particularly those working for newspapers or syndicated comic strips, required models to pose in various expressive ways to capture the right look for their characters. This experience likely helped Barbara learn how to project emotion or character through still images, an ability that would later translate into acting on screen. The introduction to Al Seaman was indeed a pivotal moment. Successful heads of model bureaus often had connections with film studios, as Hollywood was perpetually hungry for new talent and fresh faces. Seaman's decision to send Barbara's photographs to Radio Keith Orpheum, commonly abbreviated as RKO, was a bold move, indicating he saw star potential beyond typical print modeling. It was not uncommon for film studios of the day, RKO, MGM, 20th Century Fox, to scout talent through photo submissions, especially when recommended by trusted industry professionals. When Barbara found herself signing a stock contract, she effectively entered the Hollywood studio system. Under this system, new actors would receive a weekly salary in exchange for being on call for various bit parts or supporting roles. It was both a secure and limiting arrangement. While it guaranteed consistent work, it also placed an individual under the strict oversight of the studio's casting and public relations departments. For a small-town girl from Illinois, this was a dramatic shift in environment, suddenly thrust into the competitive world of screen tests, costume fittings, and the star-making machinery of the film industry. We can only imagine the sense of excitement and uncertainty Barbara felt upon making the leap to Hollywood. The city was steeped in glamour, yet behind the scenes was a rigorous hierarchical system requiring newcomers to prove themselves. This was also the golden age of classical Hollywood cinema, a period where studios churned out dozens of films each year, employing an army of contract players to fill every conceivable role. Barbara was stepping onto a bustling conveyor belt of cinematic production, one that had made stars of many hopefuls before her and would see countless others fade into obscurity. Her challenge was to rise above the crowd. Freshly arrived in the enchanting world of Hollywood, Barbara initially found herself in small yet memorable parts. Whether portraying a girl in a bustling bar, a charismatic salesgirl promoting stockings, or a captivating dancer at a glamorous party. Notably, in The Seventh Victim, 1943, she showcased her abilities as a witness in the depths of the subway. It was in the film Higher and Higher, 1944, that Barbara truly shone, sharing the screen with none other than the legendary Frank Sinatra. This marked her breakthrough, propelling her towards subsequent supporting roles in notable works such as The Falcon Out West, 1944, and First Yank into Tokyo, 1945. These early triumphs in B-movies served as a stepping stone for Barbara to steadily build her reputation, opening doors to new opportunities that allowed her to exhibit her undeniable talent as an actress. Delving deeper, the significance of these roles in B-movies cannot be understated. The production of B-movies was a staple of the studio system, a way for up-and-coming actors to refine their craft without the pressure and fanfare of major motion pictures. Barbara's appearance in The Seventh Victim, a horror film produced by Val Lewton at RKO, placed her in a company of emerging talents who specialized in atmospheric, psychologically driven stories that often transcended their modest budgets. Higher and Higher, 1944, featuring Frank Sinatra in one of his early screen roles, was pivotal not merely for Sinatra's star power, but also for the musical elements that resonated with audiences during World War II. For Barbara, standing alongside such a renowned singer must have provided a crash course in stage presence. Sinatra's charisma often filled the screen, and holding one's own in scenes with him required both confidence and skill. It was in musicals and comedic roles that Barbara's warmth and approachability first caught the eye of casting directors, helping secure her a place in subsequent productions like The Falcon Out West, one of the entries in the Falcon detective series, which were popular B-level mysteries of that era. The film First Yank into Tokyo, 1945, also underscores her willingness to embrace varied genres. This war film tapped into the patriotic and sometimes propagandistic sentiment of the time. Though these movies did not always earn critical acclaim, they provided steady work and visibility for actors building their careers. Barbara's consistent appearances in these projects showed her adaptability. She could slip into comedic musical numbers, portray an observant subway witness in a thriller, or participate in wartime dramas. That versatility would become one of her hallmarks, and it would serve her especially well as she pivoted toward more prominent toys. Hollywood in the 1940s was a place of constant turnover. New stars were discovered, tested in small roles, and either soared to fame or drifted away if they failed to catch the public's attention. Barbara Hale's ability to leave an impression, even in short scenes, or in what some might consider peripheral roles, testified to a magnetic presence that audiences and critics were beginning to notice. It was not merely about lines in the script. It was the aura she brought, combining sincerity with a spark of spirit that would soon become her signature. In addition to her notable presence in Western films like Lorna Doone, 1951, and Last of the Comanches, 1952, Barbara Hale gracefully embraced an array of roles in dramas and comedies. A noteworthy example includes her appearance alongside James Stewart in The Jackpot, 1950, where she shared the screen with charm and wit. Another delightful collaboration unfolded in Lady Luck, 1946, in which she portrayed the role of a spirited young wife skeptical about the world of gambling, opposite the talented Robert Young. Barbara skillfully carved out a niche for herself as an actress, establishing a compelling profile characterized by warmth, charm, and a resolute spirit. Her portrayals often centered around strong-minded women who possessed a clear sense of purpose and fearlessly expressed their desires, captivating both their on-screen counterparts and viewers alike. She infused her characters with an impressive personality, endearing them to audiences through her undeniable charisma and the soothing timbre of her voice. One role that stood out as atypical for Barbara Hale was her portrayal of Zoe Crane in The Houston Story, 1956. Both the actress's appearance and the character's circumstances within the plot perfectly showcased this departure. The development of Zoe's character seemed to align with the archetypal female roles found in film noir. However, Barbara's portrayal subverted expectations, steering clear of the conventional bad girl archetype. Barbara Hale's stock contract with Radio Keith Orpheum lasted over 6 years. After that arrangement, contracts with Columbia Studios and other production companies followed. Destiny intervened when Barbara Hale crossed paths with her future husband, Bill Williams, on the set of West of the Pecos in 1944. Reflecting, she fondly declared it to be a case of love at first sight. Bill Williams, originally from Brooklyn, was born on May 21, 1915, and had previously pursued a career in athletics before venturing into the world of show business. He initially showcased his talents as a dancer in vaudeville, and in 1944, signed a stock contract with Radio Keith Orpheum. Barbara and Bill exchanged vows in 1946, solidifying their union. Expanding on this romantic and professional intersection, we see how the strictures of the studio system often led actors and actresses into close-knit working environments where personal relationships could blossom. West of the Pecos was a Western film adapted from a Zane Grey novel, a popular literary choice during that era. The set would have been rife with dusty landscapes, period costumes, and the typical hustle of location or studio lot shooting. In such an environment, cast members spent long stretches of time together, inevitably forming friendships or deeper bonds. Barbara's account of love at first sight resonates with the idea that the high-energy environment of a film shoot can catalyze swift and intense connections. For Bill Williams, shifting from athletics to vaudeville dancing and subsequently to film was a somewhat unusual trajectory, but it underscores the fluid nature of mid-century American entertainment. Vaudeville was already in decline by the 1940s, but many performers who had honed their craft on stage managed to transition to Hollywood. Bill's skill set, dance, athleticism, a flair for performance, positioned him well for roles in adventure or action-oriented films. Meeting Barbara, who was by then emerging as a reliable talent in her own right, must have felt like a convergence of two people each forging individual career paths under the same studio roof. Their marriage in 1946 came at a time when Hollywood often encouraged its stars to cultivate a wholesome public image. Marriages, stable family life, and philanthropic endeavors were commonly highlighted in fan magazines. Barbara and Bill appeared to fit this mold naturally. They were both under studio contracts, had blossoming careers, and cultivated a seemingly genuine romance that fans loved to read about. While certain relationships in Hollywood were orchestrated by studios for publicity, Barbara and Bill's connection appears to have been heartfelt and enduring, as evidenced by their later life together. Additionally, Bill Williams went on to star in a popular 1950s television series called The Adventures of Kit Carson, further aligning him with the Western genre that Barbara also periodically touched upon. Their parallel or overlapping experiences in Western films underscore how the industry's emphasis on cowboy stories inadvertently became a backdrop for their personal love story. Even as they each branched into different projects later on, the two remained supportive of one another's careers, reinforcing the notion that they had found true partnership. The following year, on July 24, 1947, their first daughter, Barbara Willa Joanna, affectionately known as Jody, came into the world. Residing in Los Angeles, the small family embraced a harmonious life, with Barbara seamlessly balancing her career and the responsibilities of motherhood. Despite the challenges of juggling work and family, she persevered, cherishing both roles deeply. On February 16, 1951, Barbara welcomed the arrival of their son William Theodore. Their joyous family expanded further when their third child, Juanita Lily, was born in Los Angeles on December 22, 1953, completing their loving unit. With the addition of Juanita, Barbara began contemplating the idea of stepping away from her acting career, as the fulfillment of being a mother took precedence. However, she could not resist the call of the entertainment world entirely. While she embraced the joys of motherhood, she selectively accepted roles in movies and made guest appearances on television, consciously limiting her involvement in acting endeavors. That is until 1956, when an opportunity arose that would shape her legacy, the role of Della in the beloved Perry Mason series, alongside the talented Raymond Burr in the lead. The character of Della marked a notable departure from Barbara Hale's previous roles in the 1940s and early 1950s. While still warm-hearted and strong, Della possessed a different essence, characterized by her unwavering dedication, support, and loyalty. This role showcased a more devoted and supportive nature, distinct from the single-mindedness of Barbara's earlier portrayals. Barbara Hale's contribution to the Perry Mason series, although small in comparison to the show's overall cast, was crucial. Her presence was indispensable, and her work on the show demanded significant effort from the entire team. Despite her intermittent appearances, Barbara's commitment extended to working for substantial periods throughout the week. It is worth noting that the set was known for its familiar and harmonious atmosphere, a detail often mentioned by those involved. In recognition of her exceptional portrayal, Barbara Hale received an Emmy Award in 1959 for her role in the Perry Mason series, with a subsequent nomination in 1961. She continued her involvement in the show for 9 years until its conclusion, establishing a remarkable tenure. However, Barbara's friendship with Raymond Burr endured beyond the show's end. In the mid-1980s, when Burr was offered the opportunity to star in Perry Mason, a made-for-TV movie, he agreed on the condition that Barbara Hale reprise her role as Della. She willingly accepted, faithfully staying by Burr's side until his passing in 1993, honoring their enduring friendship and professional bond. Barbara went on to produce commercials and appeared as a guest star in several television shows between the Perry Mason films and the Perry Mason television series. She also took on a few film roles during this period, including Airport, 1970, and The Giant Spider Invasion, 1975. Sadly, on January 26, 2017, Barbara Hale died of complications from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease at age 94. She was interred in the Forest Lawn Memorial Park. From her initial dreams of becoming an artist to her Emmy-winning turn as the loyal and supportive Della, Barbara Hale led a life marked by dedication, warmth, and genuine talent. Her ability to captivate audiences, whether on the big screen or alongside Raymond Burr and Perry Mason, earned her a cherished place in television history. We hope these insights into her life and career have enriched your appreciation for this beloved actress. If you enjoyed learning about Barbara Hale, feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more little-known facts about your favorite Hollywood stars. To truly encapsulate her legacy, we must consider how Barbara exemplified the evolution of the mid-century American actress. She began with modest local theater and art school dreams, navigated the frenetic world of modeling and B-movie productions, found mainstream success in Hollywood, balanced motherhood with sporadic but impactful film and TV work, and eventually became a television icon. Her story resonates with anyone who has ever pursued multiple interests, adapted to life's unpredictability, and found a way to blend personal passion with professional success. In her later roles in films like Airport, 1970, she played smaller parts, but they were in blockbuster productions that introduced her to new audiences. Airport, in particular, was a trendsetter for the disaster film genre, and cameo appearances, or supporting performances in such widely seen movies, had the potential to attract fans who might have otherwise missed her earlier work. Meanwhile, The Giant Spider Invasion, 1975, revealed her willingness to engage in more eccentric or campy material, proving she never lost her sense of fun or willingness to experiment. Her longevity, living to 94, reflects not only a personal resilience, but a broader testament to how the entertainment world changed over her lifetime. She witnessed the tail end of the studio system, the birth of television, the golden era of black and white programming, the shift to color, the rise of syndicated reruns, and the dawn of the made-for-TV movie phenomenon. Through each transition, she found a way to stay active and relevant, partly because the role of Della Street remained evergreen in the public consciousness. Her career mirrored the arc of Hollywood itself, from its classical period to the modern age, adapting with remarkable grace at every step. Equally significant is the fact that she balanced that dynamic career with a stable family life, a rarity that spoke to her down-to-earth nature. Audiences today often see classic Hollywood as a place of constant scandal and fleeting relationships. Yet Barbara Hale's experience was one of steadfast devotion, both on screen in her portrayal of loyal Della Street and off-screen to her husband Bill Williams and their children. In an industry that could be tumultuous, she carved out a life that was, by many accounts, harmonious and fulfilling. Fans of Perry Mason still celebrate her work, as reruns and streaming services keep the classic series alive for new generations. The tight-knit chemistry between Raymond Burr, Barbara Hale, and the rest of the cast remains a benchmark for ensemble television. In discussions about the greatest legal dramas of all time, Perry Mason often appears near the top of the list, and Della Street's place in pop culture memory continues to thrive. Barbara Hale's career also underscores the broader history of women in Hollywood, particularly during a time when roles were more rigidly typed and opportunities for complex female characters were not as abundant. Her success in carving out memorable characters across multiple genres — horror, musical comedy, drama, western, film noir — demonstrates her versatile skill set. She never allowed the limitations of the industry to confine her wholly to one type of role, and even when she settled into Della Street, it was a role that demanded nuance and strength, not passive subservience. As we reflect on her legacy, it becomes evident that Barbara Hale's story is inspiring for multiple reasons: her adaptability, her perseverance through changing industry landscapes, her commitment to family, and her unpretentious approach to celebrity. She exemplified the idea that one could remain grounded and sincere amid the spectacle of show business. It's no wonder that audiences felt connected to her. There was a grace and accessibility about her that shone in every performance. Even in interviews later in life, she spoke with humility and warmth about her experiences, never seeming to take her successes for granted. Ultimately, Barbara Hale's journey is a lesson in the power of consistency, kindness, and talent. The accolades she received, including her Emmy Award, were only part of the recognition she deserved. Fans, co-stars, and industry professionals alike remembered her fondly, not just for her on-screen performances, but for the genuine person she was behind the scenes. So, as we conclude this extensive exploration of Barbara Hale's life, from her modest beginnings in Illinois to her final days as a celebrated figure of television's golden age, may we carry forward an appreciation of how a single individual can leave an indelible mark on entertainment history. If you find her story as inspiring as we do, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth looks at the lives and careers of Hollywood's most fascinating stars. Barbara Hale's journey reminds us that dreams can evolve, careers can pivot, and genuine warmth can transcend any role, an enduring lesson that resonates as strongly today as it ever has.